All right, let's now turn to the advisory to talk about meaningful wealth and also empowering men and women with financial confidence. Gillian Witham joining us from Five Financial. Good to have you here at AusBiz. Let's talk about then meaningful wealth. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me on the show. Um, yeah, look, meaningful wealth is something that I work with the idea of with my clients, and it's going to that point that um, wealth is not just the number on your bank statement, but it's really about understanding how much wealth you need to live the life that you want. um, and that's a big question mark for some people because often they don't really know what they need or even what they want to do on that matter.
Well, I mean, how then do you come up with, I mean, if you're talking about numbers in particular, how do you do that? But I guess put it in the broader picture of what people want in their life, particularly as they, I guess, approach or beyond retirement.
Yeah, it becomes just a great conversation around what's really important. What especially I guess looking at post retirement, it's how much do they want to be able to spend each year just on lifestyle, take away just the necessities of life. How much travel do they want to do? Do they want to leave money to their kids, or and so it's shaping what their life is, what they want their life to look like, and then bringing that back to what that is. And often when people are leading into retirement, they might be continuing to work in a job that they really aren't necessarily that happy in, or isn't fulfilling for them, but they feel like they have to just keep on working. There's this endless rat race because they don't know when enough is enough.
Yeah, well, that's certainly the case with most people, isn't it? Of knowing when enough is enough, and well, I guess it's not all about making money, is it, Gillian? But also to the point where, and you're going to talk about confidence between, well, with men and women in terms of finances, how they achieve that, but also, I guess, given that gender roles have been blurred in terms of, who's the breadwinner and so on.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. Um, and it happens in with both roles in a relationship now, we find. So, it's probably often, or maybe maybe a little bit outdated, but it's still there, where it's the woman in a relationship that may take on more of the primary care giving roles, whether it's for children or even the sandwich generation where it's aging parents as well. But so if they've taken on that role, often they're leaving those financial decisions to their male partner, and over time that erodes their confidence because they just don't have their finger in the pie anymore. But then on the other side, um, because that may be the case, the men are, I guess, perceived or put into that bucket of being the finance person making those financial decisions, but yet he may not really have the knowledge either. So there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and those roles are more commonly now could be exactly the opposite. There's plenty of women that take that more controlling position, but generally we find that there's one person that takes that role and does leave the other, starting to feel less and less confident, or even knowing where money is, how much they have, and so getting them to start having those conversations together is really important to bring um, the confidence of both parties up, and just build that strength for their future around what they both want to be achieving.
Yeah, how do you overcome that perhaps perceived ignorance there? Perhaps if one or both partners don't have that financial knowledge. How do you overcome that?
Um, we find actually that it's one or the other. It's tough because the one that doesn't have the confidence might they want to feel a bit more empowered, a bit more in control. So and if it's, say, it's the female in the relationship, then we find often they're the ones that really want to seek out some professional advice, just to be that trusted guide and the third person in the, it's kind of a bit like, a marriage counselor or relationship counselor, where you find somewhere where you have a safe space where you can have these really real discussions around money, and where there's no judgment, there's no criticism around each other's either behaviours or knowledge, and it can then just together work out, well, what do they need to do to achieve the life that both of them want, and will make them feel financially secure and confident. So I'm not sure if I answered that question properly, but it's just it's starting that conversation without there being any pressure or judgment or criticism against either party, just to bring them both to the same page.
Do you often find, in terms of an advisor, that financial issues do undermine couples and their relationships? And if so, how do you move beyond that?
Yeah, it often does, and it's a slow erosion. It's not something that happens quickly. So it's bringing the I think the undermining is interesting. The conversations have got to be framed in such a way that it's about coming together, rather than feeling like one person's taking control. And it may be that you need one party to bring the conversation to the forefront and suggest that, just out of their need to feel more in touch with what's going on, to give them confidence. Because otherwise there can be this maybe resentment, maybe issues that come into relationship that really, if it's all brought to the table in a really safe environment, then it can be a great start to planning for the rest of a couple's lives. Now, I've got one client just the other day. They're quite young, in their late 30s, but they have me now as that person in their life that they trust. And when the female in the relationship, she might have a bit of a wobbly moment and go, oh, maybe we should do this, maybe we should do that. Then he's saying, well, let's just wait till we see Jill, and we'll nut it out together. So it's taking away that those financial discussions that can become quite heated, and one or another of the party can be defensive or feel maybe guilty of a behavior or something, where they can just discuss it openly with someone that can put things into a bit more of a objective manner, and make sure that the decisions then come together, and that they're going to be the right ones to get them where they want to go, without being veering all over the place.